So we're doing like a traditional Hungarian breakfast right now. And what are these things called again?
Sieves.
Sieves, right? And a sieve is, what's that mean?
Heart.
Okay, so a sieve apparently is the Hungarian word for heart. And it's a little like heart-shaped pastry, right? And it's got all this good
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
There you go.
Yeah, like, oh, there you go, yeah. Very good heart-shaped pastry. It's got, what, cherry topping, cottage cheese.
And sweet cottage
Yeah,
cheese.
fresh baked this morning. I haven't taken my first bite yet, but I'll let you know how it is. So we're going to be heading to the Parliament building, the Shoes on the Danube today, and doing a bunch of other different stuff. So we'll... Dude, oh my God. So we made it here after breakfast. This is, just to give you an introduction, we are standing in right now Hozsák tér. Hozsák tér means Heroes Square in Hungarian. As you can see, it is an absolutely gorgeous monument that was erected in 1896 to try and commemorate the 1,000-year era of the Magyar conquest of the Carpathian Basin, which is Hungary. The central focal points of the monument itself include the 7 Magyar kings, which are right here around this bottom pillar. I'm going to go up closer and get some better pictures of them so you can see those guys a little bit easier. The central guy right here is the first Arpad king, which is actually one of the grandfathers of Stephen I, the first real true king of Hungary. Well, before it was like when it actually became Hungary, not when it was just the Magyar kingdom. In the background, actually back here in the archway areas, really cool things about that is these are the most famous leaders all through these little windows right here of Hungary itself. There's also some amazing Roman. One of the really cool stories that I'm also going to tell you really fast, I'm going to throw a picture of him up really quick though before I even get up there, is one of the Hungarian kings, Matthias, M-A-T-Y-A-S. He was actually the Renaissance king of Hungary. He believed in bringing the Italian Renaissance to Hungary and kind of bringing with him the culture of the Italian Renaissance as well. One of the neatest things about him is apparently, stories say, that he used to go incognito and actually dress up in disguise and go into Budapest and actually try to right wrongs, kind of like a superhero in a way. He's like Batman, but Hungarian king. He would see if he saw somebody being picked on, bullied, or taken advantage of, he would actually right that wrong without even anybody knowing he was the king of their entire country. Let's go ahead and head up there. Let's take some other pictures and kind of just check it out a little bit more, all right? So here we are at the Hungarian Parliament building, right? So we had like a walk up to this a second ago. A couple things you'll stand out a lot to you really quickly though, is first and foremost, it's neo-Gothic architecture. So you know how we talked about Throwback Thursday and whatnot? Well, the Hungarians have been doing Throwback Thursday since about 1896 when this thing first was started construction. Gothic architecture comes from the Middle Ages, as you can see. Remember when we talked about Matthias Church, right? Matthias Church is built in Gothic style architecture. Now, Gothic style architecture is all the spires, the gargoyles, the big altar pieces with their famous figures inside of them and things like that. Also, the dome, though, ironically enough, is a Renaissance style architecture. So they did an amazing job blending the two of these things together. Now, really cool things about the Hungarian Parliament, though. First and foremost, it's still the largest building in Hungary. Coolest thing about it is actually it was an international competition to try and see who would actually earn the commission for the building itself. The man who actually designed it, you're such a punk. The man who actually designed it and won the competition, they started construction in 1896 and it wasn't finished until 1904. Insane thing though is the man who designed it actually went blind before the building ever finished construction. There, you felt the blindness there for a moment. Now, but The other really neat thing about it is compared to our parliament, their parliament is unicameral, has one house, not like ours, which is like a Senate and a Congress, okay? The last couple things that I'll say about it, though, is it apparently is not the tallest building, like I said, but it is the largest building in Hungary still. Neo-Gothic architecture, very amazing stuff, and it is still probably one of the most beautiful buildings in Europe that I've ever seen. But now I think we're going to get ahead and get some langos, and then we're going to be going down by the river for the last monument that we'll be looking at today, which is the Jewish shoes. So we'll see you guys then.
Bye!
All right, guys, so we're here now at, what's this place called? Langos something, Kirka something. All right, anyway, what's it called, Zita?
Langos.
Well, no, this is Langos. What's the place called?
Langos buffet.
All right, so that's where we are right now. And so we're about to have a langos, right? And the langos is apparently like almost like a funnel cake-like pastry with sour cream, right? And it's very salty, cheese, red onions. It's a very traditional Hungarian side food. And that's Tibor, and if he touches my food, he's gonna get jacked up in about 2 seconds. So I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and try and gnaw into this thing. Oh my God, it's so good. So we're gonna be going to the Parliament next, or not the Parliament, but down, no. We're gonna be going down to the river next to check out this other monument. But I'm gonna go ahead and eat this because it's so good. This is langos, all right, langos. All right, guys, so this is gonna be our last stop for the day. I just kind of wanted to end it not on a somber note, but just kind of on a very interesting kind of remembrance note. And I'm trying not to speak too loudly because it'd be very disrespectful. But I'm gonna be throwing up pictures during this like short little video explaining the monument behind me. So as you can see, the monument is rows and rows and rows of empty shoes, right? Well, going back to some of the history of Hungary and things like that, as you know, Hungary actually participated in World War II alongside of the Axis powers, and which actually they united directly along with Nazi Germany. Now, there was that means that they also actually participated in the Holocaust as well. So about, just to give you some rough numbers, about 600,000 of the Jewish that were executed during the Holocaust came from Hungary out of the 6 million total. So the really kind of foreboding, very, very sad part about this memorial was it all relates back to how this specific group of Jewish people was actually executed. But to give you a little bit of insight on the interwar period, so Jewish resentment in Hungary actually started long before what a lot of people realize, and it actually began during the interwar period after World War I and going into World War II. And to give you some insight, so only 5% of the population of Hungary, which is about 13 million, so that's about 800,000, were Jewish. And however, 91% of currency brokers and bankers, also 88% of stock market workers were Jewish. And a lot of 25% of university students were Jewish. So disproportionately, if only 5% of your population is holding down that many secure jobs, as well as being great financial earners, is going to create a lot of resentment, especially because most of Europe, especially the ones who fought on the losing side of World War I, were in a massive economic depression. So much like the Nazi Party rose up in in Germany, the Arrow Cross Party rose up in Hungary. They were extremely anti-Semitic, very violent towards the Jewish people. They also secured 25% of the seats that existed in the Hungarian Parliament, which we actually looked at earlier. They then began to pass anti-Jewish laws, including that only 20% that they were not allowed to participate in the government. Only 20% of higher level positions like doctors, physicians, dentistry, bankers, things like that could be Jewish run. Also, as time would go on, the laws would get much more strict. They penalized sexual relationships between Jewish and non-Jewish people. You were not allowed to marry Jewish to non-Jewish people. Things got more and more strict, and then eventually the deportation, executions, and the Holocaust actually began. So much so that Adolf Hitler demanded that more Jewish be exported out of Hungary and sent to places like Auschwitz and Dachau. So the monument itself behind me, though, the reason why it's so reverent is because this group of Jewish people executed by the Arab Cross Party, to try and make things easier and faster for the execution, they actually told the Jewish people to slip their shoes off, to come up onto the bank of the Danube, right here behind me, right? And then actually to, they were then shot so the river would actually carry them away. And then the Arab Cross Party would come through and pick their shoes up. So this is actually a permanent installment. All the shoes are metal, bronze cast, and it's a very, very intense monument, very, very apologetic for their culture, but also just something very, very important to remember. So we're actually going to be ending here for the day. Glad that y'all could come along today, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, okay? Not something to be sad about, just something to remember, right? So I'll see you guys later.